1 pound for the house, baby. That's all we need, baby. It's one for the house. Come on.
God, if you listen to this whole thing, then
Congratulations. Welcome to our world.
It's Brody's Pajama Podcast.
I'm just thankful that you have a podcast that can be edited.
hey, it's Brody from the Bob and the Showgram morning show, weekday mornings on G105 Radio in Raleigh, North Carolina, and heard on the iHeartRadio app. On the phone right now, singer, songwriter, surfer, amongst many other things, Jack Johnson, who is on the phone from his house in Hawaii. How's the weather there?
Pretty nice right now. It's been a little off and on with rain, but right now it's pretty sunny.
It's pretty nice in Raleigh now. We're pretty lucky. Fall literally kicked in as the season did. So you're going to be coming to some really nice weather. Friday, that's this Friday,
nice.
September 29th, Coastal Credit Union Music Park in Raleigh. You have a title that, I'm reading it, and it's like in your bio, it's like an entire line long. It takes up the whole page. Singer, songwriter, actor, record producer, filmmaker.
There's no actor in there, I hope, is there?
It says actor.
It says actor?
Yeah. And technically, I mean, you've been in film, so I guess that's why they put actor. Was music always your passion? Because I know you went to school for film, as did I, and I ended up in radio. So how does it all work together? Music is your sole passion, right?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up always loving being in the ocean, whether it was surfing or sailing or, anything to do with the ocean, snorkeling, all that stuff. And then, yeah, music came into my life a little later. I can't remember when the surfing began. It was when I was a little kid. And then when I was about 14, I picked up the guitar, and music definitely became a huge part of my life. And then film, yeah, it wasn't until me and my friends used to make little surf movies when we were in high school. We'd take turns filming each other with this video camera, and then we'd put two VHS machines next to each other, and we'd push record on one and play it, and we'd kind of make these little rough edits and put music to it. So looking back, that's kind of how I got my start in film, and then studied film in college, and it all kind of tied together for me. I mean, it was doing the soundtracks. So I always kind of saw how important soundtracks were to films. And even just growing up on watching so many surf films, it was a lot of times the surfing was kind of all the same. It was really the soundtrack that would make the film feel a certain way. And so I was always really into the soundtrack aspect of making student films and everything. It's a lot of fun. And then, it kind of, that was the start for me, was getting the music and the films when I started making surf films after college.
The new album, All the Light Above It Too, it's available now for download. As a singer-songwriter and a record producer, do you prefer performing over producing? Because I know a lot of people love the producing, working with other artists.
I mean, I do a lot of the producing on my own records, usually kind of co-produce with somebody else in there. I always find if I'm in the studio totally alone, it's easy to kind of lose perspective. It's always nice to have somebody in there that you trust their opinion when you start getting a little lost. That's what a good producer does, is sort of help you keep steering the ship in the right direction. And so it's easier to do that when I have other friends. When it's not my project, I can see it objectively and from the outside, and I'm not totally lost in the songs. So it's always fun, to work with other musicians. The performing part's fun, too. I think I can do a certain amount, and then I need a long break from it. I get sort of exhausted from being in front of people a lot. And whereas the studio time, I can do that anytime, all the time. It's fun. I mean, only thing with the studio is a lot of times there's not windows, and you can get stuck inside all day, and I'm kind of an outdoor person. So as long as I get enough breaks and all that stuff, I like the studio.
You're like in your cave. We don't have any windows either, so it's like you don't even know what the weather is outside. On the phone with Jack Johnson. You also have a family. Do they tell you what your music is like, or when you have the new album, do you sit there and go, so what do you think? And they're like, well, you're our dad. You're not a big rock star to us. You're our dad, but they probably give you some feedback too, right?
Yeah, more and more so, because now I got a 13-year-old, so he's starting to get more of an opinion. Before it was always easy. They just like whatever Dad made, and then now it's good. He gives me his honest opinions and stuff, and I actually trust him quite a bit because he's really into music and everything. But he's more into like White Stripes and Black Keys, and he likes all that kind of stuff. But he likes what I do, all right, But we like to rock out. I like playing drums with him. They're all into music, all my kids, and it's fun. And then my wife, she's always been my sounding board. We're 18 years old, so every song I've ever written, she's been around during part of that, whether it's sitting there doing something else in the room or actively helping me. Sometimes she'll help me edit. I'll sit down and I'll go through it. She'll tell me the lines that don't work for her, and the ones that worked better, or where the song felt like it was going, and then I took a different turn. And I trust her, a lot. She's kind of been like my co-writer through the whole thing.
That's awesome. It's funny you say all that, because even my girlfriend will say, I hear so much about your industry and radio. She's like, I feel like I can work in your industry. So your wife probably feels somewhat similar. She's like, I'll be your producer.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, she always has. She was my first tour manager. So I remember the first time we had to do, like send a club. They wanted to see our backline info, like what we needed, and lined up and everything. And I kind of did this hand-drawn one, and she looked at it and she was like, I'm pretty sure they probably want something that's like a little more official than that. And so kind of we'd go, we do a little research and figure out how you had to do each step. And so she's learned with me the whole music industry and every step of the way. So it's been a lot of fun for us.
Have your kids picked up surfing too?
Yeah, I mean, growing up in Hawaii, surfing is sort of like you kind of learn to ride your bike and you learn to ride your surfboard around the same time. So it's kind of second nature to everybody around here.
On the phone with Jack Johnson. I had a friend who's a huge fan of yours saying, and you got to ask him if he really likes banana pancakes, which to me, you throw in a little Nutella at IHOP, and like that's my favorite thing they serve there.
Yeah, I like them a lot. I mean, that's why I ended up in the song. We make them almost every weekend, and we mess around with the recipes. It changes around a lot. Macadamia nuts in there sometimes. But yeah, definitely like them. It'd be a bummer if I did and I had to sing that song all the time. I was over.
Everyone's like, now you don't like it because you sometimes you grow out of liking certain things, like certain things I didn't like as a kid, and now I love and vice versa. And it's like, oh my gosh, I got to sing about this all over again. You're also an environmentalist. What is something that you are a part of, a movement that you're a part of currently?
We kind of work in several different realms, like within the environmental world. I don't mind getting the label environmentalist, but at the same time, I feel like I'm part of an industry that has a pretty major carbon footprint. So if anything, I'm just trying to do my best to mitigate the negative impact of what we do. And then I get to work with a lot of great groups, and we have a group in Hawaii, organization called Kukua Hawaii Foundation that my wife and I started. When we're home, we help to run that program, and it's for that organization. It has a lot of programs. It has one that's a farm to school program. We have a plastic-free program trying to eliminate single-use plastic from Hawaii, where we see a lot of the effects. A lot of the plastic that ends up in the ocean ends up on the beaches here in Hawaii. It's kind of like a filter out in the middle of the Pacific. So we're really involved with that. We work in a lot of those worlds, in like local food systems and plastic-free initiatives.
One of the things that I'm a really big fan of on television is Hawaii Five-0. I'm pretty sure your music, I mean, I've seen more episodes than I can remember. I'm pretty sure your music has been a part of the soundtrack of Hawaii Five-0. Has it?
Oh, I'm not positive. Could definitely be. I'm not sure.
Because that would perfectly fit in with the show, because obviously they shoot it out in Hawaii on location. But Yeah,
it's fun. A lot of my friends do the stunts for that. So
I
don't watch a whole lot of TV, but I always watch when I know one of my friends has done one of the stunts. Then we'll check out that episode. It's always fun to watch. And then it's fun to see all the different places around the islands where they're driving, the backgrounds you recognize and everything.
Now, you grew up in Hawaii, correct?
Yeah, that's how Magnum PI used to do for us when I was a kid. We'd watch Magnum PI, and it was always funny because they'd drive across like this bridge by my house, and then the next shot they'd be driving, but they'd be going the opposite direction, like in a different part of the island. So you could, being from here, you could always piece together like, that's nonsense. They're like not even going the right way.
You pick apart everything. That's so funny.
Yeah.
I've never been to Hawaii, but when I see certain TV shows and movies like Forgetting Sarah Marshall, that's what makes me want to go. I'm like, I'm sure it's beautiful and it's an amazing experience going to Hawaii. But like for me, I like to see where things are filmed. So I'm kind of a geek that way. So that's part of my motivation. Do you continue to live out there with your family now, just to kind of almost get away from to stay away from the Hollywood scene and all that?
I think that's a good byproduct for me of living here. I mean, it's really just where I grew up and the place I love. And as much as it is, you can see the postcards, and it is a natural beauty to the place, and the people are amazing. It's like anywhere else. There's all the problems of we have a major homeless problem in Hawaii. We've got a lot of the same issues that people deal with around the world, and so anyways, it comes with those problems that everywhere has. But it's a beautiful place. It's mostly, I live here just because it's where I grew up, and so it's the place I want to give back in the community here and just raise my kids in the same place I grew up.
Jack Johnson on tour, coming to Coastal Credit Union Music Park here in Raleigh this Friday, September 29th, and the latest album, All the Light Above It, too. and online, jackjohnsonmusic.com, and they can connect with you on Twitter at Jack Johnson. Thank you so much for chatting with us. I feel like I hear the waves in the background. Are you outside?
I'm near a window. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There might be a gust of wind that are kind of coming and going. We get the strong trade winds.
Just a little bit jealous. Just a little jealous. Thank you so much for talking with us, Jack. Continued success to you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Yeah, you too. Take care.